versus infinite mindset. I want to talk about that. Has anybody ever heard of a Microsoft Zune? Microsoft Zune, Z-U-N-E. Raise your hand above your head if you've heard of the Microsoft Zune. 1, 2, 3 people. Anybody else? Microsoft Zune? 3 people. Okay. So I don't know who's old enough to remember, but do you guys remember when the first iPod ever came out? iPod. Yeah. It was revolutionary. So right now we're spoiled with technology, right? We have a freaking computer that's a supercomputer in our pockets. But back then, when the iPod came out, it was revolutionary. You could have 2,000 songs in your pocket, which was insane. It had this little wheel dial that was really cool, right? It was really well built, battery built in. And what's really cool about it is you could search for your songs by name, which was just, back then, all the MP3 players and all that stuff, like you had to go through folders and all this stuff to find your music. 2,000 songs, searched by name. Sound was amazing. It was revolutionary. Everyone wanted one. And it did something really, really crazy, because back then, before the iPod, Apple was a joke. Like, Microsoft was not worried about Apple. Microsoft was this giant. And overnight, almost, the iPod made Apple a competitor to Microsoft. And the popularity grew so much that Microsoft said, we have to do something about this. We have to create the iPod killer. So they put a bunch of money and a bunch of time and a bunch of resources into developing the Microsoft Zune. And after a couple of iterations, they actually did it. They had a press release. They said, more memory, better built, smaller, better battery, better screen, bigger screen. They beat the iPod in every category. Apple could care less. Why? Well, no, I don't know if that was the case. But do you remember? Do you have any guesses on what came out a month later? The iPhone. The iPhone came out and made music players obsolete, right? And the point of that story is that an infinite versus finite mindset are two things. What do you think Microsoft was competing with, or who do you think they're competing with? No, who do you think Microsoft was competing with to build the Zune? Apple. Who was Apple competing with? Themselves. Apple was like, Microsoft's like, how do we beat Apple? Apple was like, how do we create the next world-changing product? How do we make the user's life better, right? That's an infinite versus finite mindset. Short-term versus long-term. Can anybody tell me what infinite means? Forever? Yeah. Finite? Short-term, right? We have a finite amount of energy every single day before we have to go back to sleep. So infinite versus finite mindset, right? Are you thinking about things, making decisions in an infinite mindset or finite mindset? Is it short-term or long-term? If you're holding someone accountable, but and it's really uncomfortable, and you put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, you're super tired, you're exhausted, you're working 6 days, you're beat, but you see someone do something where it might be minimal, but details matter, and you pull them aside and hold them accountable, even though every piece of your body and mind is telling you don't want to do this, but you still do it. Is that infinite or finite mindset? Infinite. Why is it infinite? It's going to be better for the long run, better for the business long run, better for the employees long run, better for yourself long run. But if you say, I have a million reasons, legitimate reasons why I'm not going to hold this person accountable, and I'm not going to do it, infinite or finite? Finite. Why? Right, and it's a short-term fix, right? I'm avoiding it, so I avoid the hard work, I avoid the uncomfortability, but that's a short-term fix, a short-term solution that's causing a long-term problem. So your decisions when you make as a leader have to be infinite or finite. What am I making, right? And these are great examples. We talked about Chick-fil-A and Popeyes already. Chick-fil-A, infinite. How do we give the guests the best experience possible, and how do we do everything in our power to make that happen? Popeyes, how do we come out with a new spicy chicken zinger sandwich with a pretzel bun and Doritos Locos dust on top of it? Short term. Does anybody still have a MySpace account? Raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. All right, just one person. MySpace and Facebook. MySpace, how do we get more subscribers? Facebook, how do we get more attention? If we keep their attention longer, we will get the subscribers. Infinite versus finite mindset, two different mindsets, billions of dollars apart. So this is really important, infinite versus finite mindset. And one thing really important as we walk away from this is that knowledge is not power. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes, sir.
You guys agree with knowledge is not power? No? Knowledge is not power. Knowledge with action is power, right? Doesn't matter if you have the knowledge if you don't put it into action. If you have a guy studying Kung Fu for 6 years in a book, reading about Kung Fu, and you have a guy for 6 months who goes into a dojo and gets his face punched in, who are you putting your money on in a fight? Yeah, I'll take the guy who already got his face punched in. And so we want to focus on this to deliver this message to our staff, but also to yourselves. Is like we want to be excellent inside and outside of work. Jason said it perfectly. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Bottom line. Like if you're messy at work, you're messy at home. If you come in late to work every single day, if you have an employee who has that just cannot figure out a way to get to work on time and just it's like a freaking struggle for them to get to work on time. Do you think they're just always on time outside of work? No, because they're struggling to be late at work. That means they're probably late at everything they do in their lives. So the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I want you to understand too, and I have this book up here. Has anybody read Unreasonable Hospitality? Okay, well you should read it. It's a great book about hospitality. But Unreasonable Hospitality is about Will Guidara. Will Guidara was a restaurant leader. And he started off in this dumpy little restaurant. And he was doing their accounting, their financing, right? And then he got moved up, and his whole thing was, I just want to make the restaurant as best as possible. Guest experience, hospitality, I just want to make restaurants as best as possible. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that. And he would come up with ideas and ways to do that. He has a story where he was moving up restaurant to restaurant. He ends up working for Danny Meyer. Danny Meyer, if you don't know who he is, the godfather of hospitality. He's one of the biggest restaurateurs in New York. If you're working for Danny Meyer, you're happy, right? And so he got a job at a QSR for Danny Meyer, this little ice cream shop, or had an ice cream booth next to it that he was in charge of. And he remembered that the sample spoon that he wanted to give to the people to try the ice cream, he was like, they were using these cheap little plastic 1-cent spoons. And he's like, why don't we give them a nicer spoon? Why don't we give them a nice spoon that when they're tasting it, they're holding it so it feels like it's luxury. It feels like it has value to it. And little things like that matter, right? You guys do that at the restaurant I went to last night. The chopsticks, for example, the to-go chopsticks. They're freaking, I can tell those are expensive. But you guys aren't cheaping out on it because you guys want people to have a luxury feel. So Will Guidara was moving up in restaurants, and then he finally gets to 11 Madison. Danny Meyer says, can you take over 11 Madison? It's one of my fine dining restaurants. It's doing pretty good. Can you take over it? He said, yeah. And Will Guidara took that restaurant to become the #1 restaurant both critically and financially in the world. One person did that. One person. One leader did that. One leader. Then he went on to write Unreasonable Hospitality. This book has sold millions and millions and millions of copies. I travel a lot. Every time I go to a freaking airport, it's in a gift shop at the very front. Like right when you walk up to the gift shop, this book is right there every single time. It's been around for a couple of years now, and it still sells like crazy. He makes a lot of money. If you want him to keynote speak at your event, $100,000. Like he makes a lot of money. Bless you. And my point of telling you all this is that a lot of people put a glass ceiling on leadership, right? Where it can take you, where you could be. And I always use Will Guidara as an example that it could take you anywhere you want. He literally took it to the moon. He built his whole entire brand off of it. He's gotten so much success from just being a good, dedicated leader and always doing what's best for the business and developing the people underneath him. And so I want to talk about this. This is really good for leadership. It's called the 80-20 rule. 80% of your problems in the restaurant when you work day to day are psychological, 20% are execution. What that means is 80% of your problems rely on being resourceful, and 20% of your problems rely on resources. So a lot of times people think it's the other way around, right? When I talk to managers, I need more staff, I need more money, we need more time. We need X, Y, and Z to accomplish A. We need these things. But really it's about being resourceful. 80% of your problems can be solved by just becoming resourceful, working through the problem, figuring out a solution, instead of just stopping in the road and saying, I can't do it, I need another staff. I need more people, I need more money, I need this, I need that, right? How do we get to the solution? Creatively. And I'll use you guys as an example when you guys have staff underneath you. When your staff has a problem, what do? They go to you, right? I have a problem. I'm going to go straight to the manager and tell them, there's a problem. I need you to fix it, right? Their resourcefulness just shuts off instantly, right? They're just like, we're out of cups. Okay? Did you look in the back? No, not yet. All right, let's look in the back, right? Their resourcefulness just shuts off. But for some weird reason, and also with managers, when you solve their problems, right, because you have to get creative. Sometimes you have problems that there's not a solution for. You don't have a book in the back office where you're like, sorry, start again. What was that? What letter did that start with? Oh, okay, cool. Here it is. Here's a solution. No, you're like, okay, let me figure this out. Let me think about it. Okay, I know what we're going to do, right? You have to get creative. You have to be resourceful 80% of the time. But managers, for some reason, turn this off as soon as it comes to their job and their role, right, where they say, I'm going to stop and say, Jason, I need something. Mandy, I need something. I need more to be able to accomplish our goals. I need more resources and not be resourceful. So I really, really employ you. A very, very, very strong skill set you can have as a leader is being highly, effectively, efficiently, and intensely resourceful. I can solve problems without more resources. Obviously, you're going to get to that 20% point where you're going to need the resources, but 80% of the time you can solve it on your own. And this is a big one for me, is train, nurture, coach. This should be what you're doing all the time with your staff, all the time. This should be your obsession. Your success is predicated on how well you can develop the people underneath you. You're only as good as your worst employee. So the better you can develop the people underneath you, the more success you're going to have, bottom line, period. And the only way you're going to have a success developing people is if you spend time with them and develop them. That's it. And if you think 7 days of training and then go off to the floor with you, and then if you do anything wrong, I'll let you know, that's not training. That's not developing. That's the starting off point. That's literally just putting the seeds into the ground. That's like you putting seeds in the ground and going, where are the tomatoes, right? We have to train, nurture, coach. Train, nurture, coach. Train them, nurture them. You're doing a good job. Got your back. I'm here to support you. And coach them when they're doing something wrong or they're doing something right. And I want to give you a couple of tools to walk away with today that you can use right now. So this is what we built for you guys. This is like the systems that we built for you guys for the training process. And so I always ask, like, what happens after the training, right? Because that's really where all the problems lie, right? The training is important, but really where the problems start showing themselves is after the training. And so there's 5 phases that we focus on, right? Advanced leadership, which is you guys. Advanced leadership. High-level systems. You have to have systems and have structures, SOPs, and you have to follow through with them. Dynamic training, which we built for you guys. Follow-up mastery and accountability is where most restaurants start to fail really fast. We do all the training, we build all the systems, we do all the training, but then we don't follow up and we don't hold people accountable, right? And if you don't follow up to make sure that they're doing what we train them to do and you don't hold them accountable, that training that you work so hard to build and work so hard to get them through at a high level, all that does is become a request. I'm just requesting nicely that you do these things. And you guys already know what happens when you request things from people or staff members. They're not going to get done. Follow-up and accountability is everything. You can have the best training in the world. If you don't follow up and hold people accountable, all for nothing. All for nothing. All that time is wasted. Everything. You just wasted all that, the trainer's time, your time, everyone's time, and now you're just hoping that they do a good job. And you guys know hope's not a strategy. So follow-up and accountability is everything. We have to follow up to make sure they're doing their job. Take that time, spend that energy, be on the floor, watching these things, not micromanaging, but watching, and then we have to hold them accountable when they're not doing their job the right way. And I always talk about this, is protect your strong. Does anybody have any guesses what that means? Protect your strong.
Protect your good employees.
Yes, protect your good employees. Because you guys can probably all agree with me that good employees are rare. Yes? Rock stars are rare, correct?
Yes, chef.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yes, chef.
If you guys hire 10 people, how many of them are going to be rock stars? One, right? Maybe. One. So if I get that one rock star, I'm going to protect them because I want to build an army of them. I can't build an army of them if they keep leaving, right? And if you want to protect your strong, you have to build an environment where they will thrive, because if you don't, they'll go somewhere that will, right? That's what's going to happen. We want to keep as many good players as we can by protecting them. If you don't hold the weak employees accountable, your strong will leave. So we got to protect them by holding everyone accountable, by supporting them. It's so important. Back of house and front of the house. You guys agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And having high standards is holding the standards to adversity. So I always do this. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it for this room. And you guys can be completely honest. I want you guys to be transparent here. This is a safe space. Who here has high standards for themselves? Raise your hand above your head. Elbow above your head like you mean it. Who here has high standards for themselves? Almost there. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, wait. Elbow above your head. Almost there, scratching. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Yes. So everyone in this room has high standards for themselves. Yes? So you could do that. I'll do that in the room tomorrow. You could do this with your staff, and everybody's going to do this. Right? And you're going to be looking around the room, and you're going to be like, I don't know if you should have your hand up, sir. Right? And that's not because, the reason why that is because everyone thinks they have high standards. Everyone wants high standards, of course, and everyone thinks they do. What's the difference between someone with high standards and low standards? What makes the difference, right? Because standards are you. You create your own standards. No one else can create your standards. You create your own personal standards, right? Based off of your life experiences. That's how your standards get built in your head, what you think is important, what you think is not, to hold up high standards. That is your decision that you make that. I can't tell you what your high standards are. He can't tell you what your high standards are. You can't tell him what high standards. You can say the company's standards are this, and I want you to live up to those standards, but personal standards, you decide. And so I did this one time, and a girl didn't raise her hand. And I was like, just out of curiosity, you don't have high standards? She's like, I don't know. He told me to be honest, Preston. And I go, why? Just out of curiosity, why do you feel like you don't have high standards? And she's like, I'm not supposed to eat sugar, and I still eat sugar. And I was like, okay, that's discipline, right? That's different. Standards, discipline, two different things, right? But standards are this. Do you hold your standards to adversity or not? That's it, bottom line. Do you hold your standards to adversity? So if you guys walk into work today, and Jason comes up to you and says, I'm going to give you a 50% raise. Congratulations. And then you go in, and the staff's being super cool and super easy to get along with, and your guests are being super cool and super to get along with, and you're about to have 3 days off. You're going to hold your standards high. No problem. I'm not cutting any corners. I'm going to stay a couple hours late. I'll work off the clock today, right? Anybody ask me to do something? Absolutely. You got it. My pleasure, of course. Why? Everything's going good. Easy, right? I'm happy to hold my standards in that situation. No problem at all. I'm in a good mood. Yeah. But it's a day when you get into a fight with your significant other, you get that tax bill in the mail you weren't expecting, you go out and get a flat tire, you drive to work, get pulled over, then you go into work, and then your leadership team is breathing down your neck, your coworkers are being super, super difficult, the guests are being super difficult, nothing's going right in the kitchen. Those are the days where it's like, do I hold my standards in that day? Do I sit there and hold the line? Do I make sure I hold my standards to the highest level, or do I say, no, I have an excuse now? It's a hard day. I'm going to start cutting some corners here. I'm going to start making things a little bit easier on myself, right? That's the difference between high standards and low standards. And we all know the people that work underneath us that hold that line. But we have to talk about holding this line. Because in the restaurant, it's not going to be easy. It's not easy, right? We're going to have days that are freaking tough. But we have to make sure our staff is in the right mindset, like Jason said, mindset to hold those standards high. And so I want to give you a couple of tools as we talk about this. That's not me, actually. That's. So has anybody seen this movie, Moneyball? Yes. Yeah? You haven't seen it, Jason? Oh, you got to watch it. This is a great movie, okay? If you like baseball or not, doesn't matter. Great movie. Just to fill you in on what Moneyball's about, it's based on a true story. It's a real story, okay? Brad Pitt plays the manager of the A's baseball team. Baseball is one of the few sports that has no salary cap. Meaning, if I'm a rich owner, I could just go and spend an obscene amount of money and buy all the best players, right? And have this huge advantage. And so Brad Pitt goes in to his owner's office at the beginning of the season and says, I need money. I need resources. And he explains it like this. There's rich teams in baseball. There's poor teams in baseball. And we're down here. So he's like, I need money to be able to win. I need resources. And the owner says, I don't have money to give you. You're going to have to be resourceful if you want to win. So Brad Pitt leaves. He's upset. He runs into Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill just graduated Harvard. He's a math major. And he goes, I have a formula that I've came up with where we can actually make it a statistical game, where we can turn everyone into numbers, put in an equation, and have a winning equation. So we don't need expensive players. We can do it mathematically. So we don't need money. We can be resourceful. And so Brad Pitt says, all right, let's do it. I'm down. Let's do it. Yes. So they get rid of all their good players. They don't buy any new players that are of value, and they start bringing in all these old players, these hurt players. No one wants these players, and they're bringing them in. Everyone thinks they lost their mind. And the coach goes up to him, and he goes, what are you doing? You just got rid of all the good players, and we have all these bad players now. How do you expect me to win? Brad Pitt goes, it's a formula. Just trust me. We're going to win. And the coach is beside himself. So they start losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. And everyone's like, man, this is crazy. And Brad Pitt's like, why isn't this working? And Jonah Hill's like, it should be working. And so Brad Pitt's about to get fired. And he's driving home one night, pulls his car over the side of the road, has an epiphany. He realized what he did wrong. So next day he goes back, and he goes up to every single player. Every single player. Here's why we picked you. We want you just to get on first base. That's all you need to do is get on first base. And he starts coaching them how to get on first base, how to get on first base. All we need you to do is work the right field. Just work that. I want you to focus. That's all I care about, right? I just want you to bunt. When you go up to the bat, bunt, 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 right? And he goes up to every single player, and he shows them the strategy, shows them the system, gets them bought in, and tells them why they're doing it, and asks them to believe in him, asks them to try their best, asks them to be a part of the team, asks them to actually train other players that they're working with. He tells the old players to start mentoring the new players. He starts training, nurturing, and coaching them. And then he goes up to the coach, and he goes, this is the formula. And the coach is like, why didn't you, okay, got it, right? Like, why didn't you tell me sooner? I don't believe in that formula, but at least I know what to do now. At least I know what to do. At least you gave me the direction, right? Now I see the vision. And so that's why this is so important. The moral of the story is so important, is that you can have great players, great team, or whatever, have a winning formula, but if you don't train, nurture, and coach your team, if you don't develop your team, if you don't spend time with your team, if you just kind of say, here's some training, now good luck, right? And I'll let you know when you do things wrong, you're going to fail. You're going to have lackluster results. We have to spend time with our team, train, nurturing, and coaching them. And so we want to use a couple of tools. One of them is keep, start, stop. Has anybody heard of this before? No. Keep, start, stop, okay? So what you can do, if you want to get organized, every week, once a month, whatever it is, you can have a keep, stop, start with every single employee that you have, right? And you can break it up into management. So if you have 3 managers, you divide up the staff by 3, and each of them have a keep, stop, start conversation once a week or once a month. And it goes like this. Hey, do you have time for your keep, stop, start?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So first of all, I want to tell you, can you please keep bringing the energy that you bring into work every single day, because it really motivates me. Like, sometimes I come in with low energy. Your energy brings me up. Can you please keep doing that?
Of course.
Awesome. And can you start greeting the guests like this? We're going to change it. So we're going to start greeting the guests this way. Can you start doing that?
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you. And can you stop being late, please? You've been late 5 minutes every single day, and first of all, it worries me. Second of all, it puts stress on the team, right? And then it leaves a bad example, because if I let you be 5 minutes late, everyone's 5 minutes late. Can you agree to do that? I appreciate that. So we can just leave it as a verbal warning, and I can trust you to really have my back here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, right? So that's a keep, start, stop, right? So it's a way to train, nurture, and coach them. It's a way to preemptively hold people accountable. Instead of saying, I'm going to wait until she's late 14 times and then get really pissed off, pull her aside one day and be like, stop being late, you're written up, this and that, like getting upset, I'm going to preemptively talk about it. Preemptively. It doesn't have to be about being late. It could be about the way she's greeting her tables. It could be about the way she's not asking for reviews. Whatever it is, we can have that moment where we're watching, training, we're monitoring, and then when we have that opportunity, instead of micromanaging, we'll come in, right, and have that conversation. And we'll tell her what she's doing right. And if we have something new, we can use this opportunity to bring that in as well. And this is a great one. This is how you start having verbiage for excellence, right, in your restaurants. So I'll give you an example. I was working with this restaurant, and I was like the first night we worked in there, and I was talking to the GM, and it was busy Saturday night. Whole freaking expo line it's huge, and it's just full of food, right? The kitchen's just humming. And all of a sudden, the owner just like boom, breaks into the door in the kitchen. And he's like, this is wrong. Put this in. Wipe this down. Put a garnish over here. Turn off that water. Pick up that towel. And he's just like, boom, boom, just like, and everyone's like, whoa, oh my God. And everyone just got off their mark, right? And it just screwed everything up. And I pulled him aside, and I was like, hey, if you want to do this hospitality thing, we can't be doing stuff like that. It won't work. I'm telling you right now. He was like, Preston, you don't understand. I've told them so many times, and they don't listen. So I have to do that. And so I said, why don't we try this? Next time you walk in, walk up to the expo line and say, hey, guys, do me a favor. John, can you come over here and do me a favor? Are these all a 10 out of 10? Right? Now, when you do that, you're setting the expectation of excellence, right? Is this a 10 out of 10? And you're having them solve the problem instead of you solving the problem for them. So he walks up. Oh, no, this needs a new garnish. Yep, this is good. Oh, we need to wipe this down. Okay, cool. Got it. Got you. All right, awesome. Hey, Brian, is your station a 10 out of 10 right now? Oh, no, I'll grab that towel off the floor. Thank you. Right? You can go out on the floor. Preston, is your station a 10 out of 10 right now? Are your guests a 10 out of 10? Right? And that's it. Boom. So now we're talking to them. We're having them solve the problem, and they're going to go solve the problem and be motivated to solve it on their own. Right? Versus going, you did this wrong. You did this wrong. Do this right. Do this right. Do this wrong. Do this right. Right? We're having an actual dialogue with them, which is so important. So is this a 10 out of 10? And you have to remember one very important thing, guys, is that your standard is unconditional. You guys have to have an unconditional standard. If you lower your standard for any reason at all, what are you giving your staff permission to do? Say it, guys, out loud.
Lower the standard.
Lower the standard. Yeah, if you lower your standard, then I'm going to lower my standard, right? You set the tone, no matter what. So if you ever, they're watching, if you ever lower your standard, even for a day, even for an hour, they're going to see it. Now you just gave them permission to do it. So that's why we have to keep our standard. Your standard is setting the standard for the whole entire restaurant. Every single buddy in this building right now, in this room right now. It doesn't matter what position you're in. It doesn't matter if you're an operator, operating partner. It doesn't matter if you're just an assistant manager. Whatever it is, you set the tone. It can't be good cop, bad cop. It can't be mom and dad. It can't be, oh, I have a manager over here who holds everyone accountable, but then this manager walks in the door and now in this easy street, right? Substitute teachers here. We can start acting however we want because they don't hold anybody accountable. That's where things break big time. Anybody with kids knows you can't have the mom-dad situation. We both have to hold the line. That's how we develop people. It doesn't work if we're misaligned. And so I talk about the ABCs of staff, right? We want to identify our staff members. Like I should be able to walk into your restaurant, and you should be able to be like A, B, B, A, C, B, right? An A player is someone who does their job at a high level and is very easy to manage, very easy to coach. A B player does their job very well, difficult to coach. A C player doesn't perform at a high level and is difficult to coach. Our job as leaders is to not hope that we just get A players, but we identify all of our employees, A player, B player, C player, and then we develop a C player into what? A B player, and then we develop a B player into what? A player, yes, that's our job. If we can't develop a C player into a B player, if they refuse to do it or they're not willing to do it or they're not capable of doing it, what should we do? Yes. Start coaching them. If you can't coach them, if they're not coachable, we have to start showing them the door. What's that? Action plan, yeah. And if the action plan doesn't work, we got to start doing other things. One of my mentors said, what happens if you go to the doctor and they say you have cancer? What's the first thing you're going to want to do? Get rid of the cancer, right? That's your first thing. I want to get rid of it as soon as humanly possible. Cut it out. No one's like, all right, well, let's just wait and see what happens. It might regress on its own. You don't know, right? Let's just, right? Maybe, you know, right? No, you're like, no, cut, what do we do, right? I'll do it right now. Let's go. Like, put me on the table. Same thing. If you have a C player and they're not able to become a B player, you got to get rid of that ASAP because that's going to bring down the whole entire team. You're not protecting your strong. You're not protecting the guest experience. You're really putting a lot in danger by just letting a C player exist in your organization. This should be unacceptable. Like, we should not allow this. Most people are able to be developed, but the people that refuse to be or just not able to be, we have to start showing them the door. It's very, very important. And I hear this all the time with companies I work with. We want really good culture. I want to have really good culture. All right? Does anybody know in this room what the definition of culture is? Say that again? The work environment, visions of the company, and what they want to achieve. That is right. That is correct, yes. Anybody else have their vision of what culture is? How about you, sir? Yeah. What do you think the definition of culture is? You don't know? Okay. You have to just give me a guess. Values and actions. Passions one.
I think culture is kind of like a mindset in everybody's brand when they come to work. It's kind of like America have an American culture, China has kind of China culture, Chinese culture. So when they come to work, everybody agree with that culture. Like our restaurant.
Majority.
Yes, majority, 90%.
Yeah, 51%.
I will try to be like that.
No, you're right. You want to be 100%, right? But if it's 51% or more, that's the culture.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're 51% or more, that's the culture, right?
Yes.
Like that'll officially become the culture. We want a 90%, 100% winning culture, right? But yeah, you're right. So that's, you guys, everyone who answered is right. This is the written definition, right? It's the way people think, behave, and work together within an organization. The way people think, behave, and work together in an organization. How do we all think? Are we guest experience first? Is that way everyone thinks? How do people behave? How do we actually execute it? How do we actually do it? And how do we work together to actually accomplish that together? Are we unified? Because that's one thing we have to be, unified, right? We have to be unified. Like when they talk about like as America, we have to be unified as a country, right? We have to be unified. If we're all divided, then that's not a culture, right? We all have to be unified in the way we're doing things. So we want to you got to ask yourself, first of all, as a leader, what culture do I bring? How do I participate in that culture? B, how does my staff participate in that culture? We should be able to identify someone who's putting us in the wrong direction of the culture or adding the wrong things to the culture, because that's a freaking problem. That's a problem. If someone's guest first, me first, now you're poisoning the well, right? And we have to fix that. That's a C player that needs to go up to a B player that needs to go up to an A player. But we have to pay attention to these things because they freaking matter. We cannot let C players exist. It's so, so important. So we talked about a lot of things today, right? We talked about train, nurture, coach, training your staff the right way, upholding standards, upholding systems, accountability, follow-up. We talked about a lot. And you guys already have a lot on your plate, correct?
Yes,
correct?
Yes,
You guys have a lot on your plate. There's no one in here that's like, I got a bunch of free time. Can you help me out, Preston? I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. Right? I walk in the door, I have an hour's worth of work, and then I'm just like, what do I do with myself? No, everyone here is working their freaking butts off, and they're putting in a lot of work. So how do we make time? We have to go back to the 80-20. That's why it's important. We have to make time. We have to make this a priority. This is something that we talked about, infinite mindset, right? You do the upfront work, and the back-end payoff is immense. There's going to be a lot of work up front to start doing these things, but once you get this in place, once it's a part of the culture, once it's a part of the systems and the workflow, everything becomes exponentially easier. You have staff that's bought in. This is what Chick-fil-A does. Chick-fil-A doesn't spend 10 hours a day with each member. They just have their training systems leadership developed. They have the expectation phase, the commitment phase, and the implementation phase down and mastered. When you have everyone bought into your culture, the culture that you want on the floor, when you train them that way and get them on the floor, it's freaking easy to get them bought in. Because they get on the floor and everyone's doing what you're preaching, okay, I'm game, I'll do it. But when they get on the floor and half the people are doing it and half the people aren't, you're signaling to them, it's an option. And then it's up to me ultimately. So we have to build these things up front, but that back-end payoff is huge. I recommend trying to start by spending 30 minutes a day with your staff. Spend 30 minutes a day, whether it's with a group, not 30 minutes straight, broken up throughout the day, but 30 minutes with a group, 30 minutes individually, but spend 30 minutes with your staff, train, nurturing, and coaching them. We don't want to just train, nurture, and coach the staff that's doing bad. We want to train, nurture, and coach the staff that's doing good as well, right? We want to keep developing them up, improving them, giving them those growth metrics. You have a freaking awesome server, and you don't train, nurture, and coach them, they're going to get stagnant. They're going to get jaded. They're going to start slowly falling into a B player, right? So we have to also keep their attention on them and keep developing them. And a hospitality mindset is so important with this. I know this is going to be this is not news to anybody in this room. Hospitality versus service. Anybody? It's the easy one. Hospitality versus, oh my, dude, if you guys, there should be 100, there should be, however many people in this room, there should be that many hands up. Hospitality, I'm not letting you, no, you can't, you're not, you can't be the safety. No, you've already answered too many questions too, yeah. No, you can't either, because I know you know. Who, no. I'm going to pick someone here. Hospitality versus service, hospitality versus service. Yes.
Yeah, so service is more of like customer service, like you're just going through the motions of just saying like, hi, how are you doing kind of thing. But hospitality is bringing that experience to that customer, making sure that they remember you, the restaurant, wherever you're working at, and then bringing that good, just basically just bringing that experience, that memorable experience to the customer.
Bringing that memorable experience, right? Yeah, I like that. How about you, sir, with the beard? The beard that's better than mine.
I guess service, I look at it as like typically it's like a transaction. You try to get the customer in and out and try to get that product out. And hospitality is like you want to make it an overall experience, like you mentioned, immersion. So you want to make them feel welcome, like it's you treating them to your place, your house, from through and throughout. So you want to make them feel like they're welcome, not just a transaction.
Yes, absolutely. What about someone from here? You guys pick. We already choose. Oh, okay. Yes, sir. All right, you, sir. Hospitality versus service, sir.
All right, so I believe service is just, getting the job done, very as little as possible, over and done with. Hospitality is going above and beyond just to make them feel like they're really well taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. What about for you, sir? Oh, got you. Okay, cool. We'll come back to you. What about, yeah, why don't you translate for him? Hospitality versus service. Yeah, don't give him the answer. Yeah, more normal, regular. Yeah, I love, and he said a word that's really good, patience, right? Hospitality, there's a part of hospitality that is patience, right? We have patience through hospitality. Good job, by the way. Right. Everyone. So yeah, we'll go in deeper in this. I don't need to break this down for you guys. Hospitality, service to business transaction, right? It's just, I'm going to get them through the business transaction. They want to buy something, I'm going to get them that product, I'm going to collect their money. That's a service transaction. I'm going to smile when I do it. And if there's a problem, I'll fix it, right? Customer service, sure, no problem. I'm going to do that, but that's just service, right? A great example of service versus hospitality is service. It's my birthday. What are you expecting?
Free stuff.
Yeah, when you go into a restaurant and it's your birthday and you tell them it's your birthday, what are you expecting? A dessert. Yeah, cake, whatever, ice cream. I don't know what you guys do. Just here we go. And then when they bring it up, hey, happy birthday. Okay, awesome, thanks. Is that hospitality? It's not, right? It's nice. It's a nice gesture, but it's not hospitality. Right? Hospitality is going above and beyond. I'll give you an example. I saw this a restaurant where this girl called. She moved to a new town because she just got a new job. It's her dream job, and she finally got it. So she moved to a town for that job. And so she made a reservation to go celebrate in that restaurant, at a nice restaurant. And they said, are you celebrating anything? And she goes, yeah, I actually just got a new job, and I'm celebrating. She's like, okay, cool, awesome. She goes, I thought, best case scenario, they bring me out a dessert or something, because I told them that, maybe a glass of champagne. And so at the end of their meal, they brought her an envelope, this big envelope. And she got it. She's like, oh, there's a little something saying congratulations. And she pulls it out, and they made a picture of her on Forbes. And then they wrote in the back, This will be your next destination. Congratulations on your new job. And she's like, I don't even know where they got the freaking picture. I don't know how they knew this was one of my dreams to be on Forbes, but they knew, and it was free. I mean, imagine that, right? That $2 piece of paper they printed out, $1 piece of paper they printed out, has exponentially more power and more of a punch and more of an effect than any cake will ever have, right? That's hospitality. That's the difference. We can't do that every time. That's obviously an extreme example, but it's thinking outside the box of how do we celebrate people and make them feel celebrated. So it's really important, right? Hospitality versus service. A couple things. I'm going to go over this tomorrow too. But first things first is like, how do we talk to people, right? Because sometimes I get staff members that are like, or managers that are like, oh, these people are kind of shy. They're introverts, right? They're a little bit shy. It's like, okay, let's break it down, right? They can still talk to people. They're still humans. They still communicate with people, right? So I always say first date analogy, right? This is how I explain it. How do I talk to a table? First of all, lobster effect, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to start talking to someone randomly, right? No matter what, when I start talking to you for the first time, there's going to be a little uncomfortability. We don't want to avoid that. We want to encourage them to get into that. Secondly, how do we start that conversation? We just act like we're on a first date. What do you do on a first date? What do you want to drink? Uh-oh. Well, yeah. So what do you want if you're at a restaurant on a first date? Say it. What's that? Get them drunk? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Get them comfortable. Get comfortable. Yeah. How do you get comfortable though? Yeah. How do you introduce yourself though? How do you get to know them? Ask them about themselves. Ask questions. I'm going to ask you questions, and here's what I'm going to do. Simple strategy. I'm going to ask you questions. It's going to be uncomfortable, and then I'm going to hope that we can connect on something, right? So what kind of music do you listen to? Nice. What's your favorite movie? What do you do for work, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, well, my favorite movie is Harry Potter. My favorite movie is Harry Potter. Who's your favorite character?
I don't know, Harry Potter.
Yeah, that tree's pretty sweet, right? And then you could. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The wizard, the magic guy. Yeah. So it's like we just talk to them, right? And we start that conversation, and it's like, oh my God, I love that. Yeah, blah blah blah. Have you been to Universal Studios? Have you read the books? And now you have a conversation. If you do that with a guest, now you have a connection with them, and you can go back to it. If they come back, now you have a connection which you can go back to and revisit. And so it's a simple thing to train this, but it's you nurturing, and coaching your team. And then also hospitality, right? I just asked you guys what hospitality is. No one gave me a wrong answer. No one was like, is hospitality is that like a type of wine? Right? Everyone knows what it is. And even more, I have people all the time like, can you train my staff on hospitality? No, I can't. Not that I can't, I don't need to. Like, well, no, I have some green staff, younger staff. They're new to the industry. Can you teach them? I don't need to teach them. They delivered hospitality at a high level in their life. They understood why they delivered hospitality, and they understood the motivations. They understood what the outcome they wanted with that hospitality. And I'll give you an example. I'll show you what I mean by that. But what we can do in this room today, we'll do it tomorrow as well. I just want people to shout out the answers, okay? If you were dating someone, and you really like this person, and you're going to invite them over for the first time to cook them dinner at your house, what would you do to prepare for that? Clean. What else? Cook? Grocery shopping? Yeah, what else? What's that? Find out what they like. Yeah. Candles. I don't want it. Candles. Why do you have candles? Set the ambiance, right? Smell, mood. What else? Dress up nice. Yeah, you're not going to show up with a mustard stain on a shirt and be like, hey, well, sorry, it's laundry day. Come on in, right? You might even go shopping just for this outfit. Why? I want to look my best. Present my best version of myself. Right? What else? Take a shower. Absolutely. I hope so. What else? Put on some music. Are you going to put on music you like? Yeah, something they like, right? I want them to enjoy it. It's not about me. It's about them. I want them to enjoy it. I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, this is heavy metal. You like this stuff, right? Pretty good, right? No, you're like, you like country music? I'm not a big fan, but I'm going to put it on. I'm going to even look up. I'm going to try and find out what's like the new country music that people are listening to. I'm going to do some research because I don't know the music genre that well. What else? Yeah. Can you imagine cooking shrimp and they're like, oh, I can't eat shrimp. And you're like, all right, McDonald's it is.
So for my wife, I know like what flour. I haven't been on a date for a long time, but for what I do,
Every day's a date, man.
Yeah,
You take her anywhere, it's a
that's
date.
true. But I know what she kind of like flowers and things like chocolate.
Yes.
Things like that. So I
What does she like and what can I bring
Yeah.
maybe as a gift, right? Something just to make it even better, right? If she likes a certain type of flower, I'm going to have that flower out there. Yeah, 100%. So we're buying the flowers they like. We're buying nice wine. We're lighting candles. We're cleaning our place. We're dressing a certain way. We're making sure they don't have allergies. We're setting the ambiance, setting the mood, playing music that they like. Why are we doing all that stuff? Yeah, impress them.
Same thing with like just going to a restaurant. You only have one shot at a first impression.
Yeah, it's an impression, right? You're going to come to my house for the first time. I want you to have a really good impression. Why else are we doing it?
So they keep coming back.
So they keep coming back. I want them to come back. I do. I want her to come back. Of course I do. Right? I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure she comes back. I want her to tell her friends and family about it. I want her to call her mom, her friends, and be like, "That I just had the most amazing experience." Right? Yeah, I want that. What's that?
Get someone calling you from a block number. You know what you did.
That's hospitality, guys. That's what hospitality is. There's no one I've ever been in a room where they're like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm lost. Can you help me? Can you give me some advice? Everyone knows what hospitality is. Everyone's delivered at a high level. Everyone knows why they're motivated to do it. Everyone knows the outcome. The reason why most people don't give hospitality, like we could train the basic mechanics of it, right? We could train the mechanics of how we do hospitality, the things we want them to do. But ultimately, hospitality is a creative act. The reason why people don't give hospitality is one word. They lack the motivation. They lack the effort. That's it. I'm not going to give the effort because I'm not motivated to do it because it's extra work. I can be transactional and coast to a table no problem, right? And I can do it like this the whole time, really smiling really big and tell them how excited we're here, that you're excited that you're here. But I can coast through that. But to be actually hospitable, look them in the eyes, smile, study, ask questions, figure out how to give them the best experience possible, that takes effort and energy. We have to motivate them to do that. That's where that Napoleon Hill quote comes in, right? And then this is like the mindset. We want to get them out of this mindset. This is just a job. This is the most detrimental mindset any person could have. This is just a job. Because if you think this is just a job, that's what you're going to be. That you're not training yourself on any of the really, really important tools. And this is a great quote, right? Selective excellence is a myth. So I tell people all the time, when we want to motivate our staff, you know, there's a guy who runs a company. He has 140 employees or something like that. And he had, for the first year, he had like a 90% retention rate. And after that, it's like 80 and 75. But he had a really, really high retention rate. And he said, well, one thing I do is I find out, first things first, what is their motivation? What's their goal in life? What's your goal in life? I want to be an accountant. I want to be an actor. I want to be an influencer. I want to be this. I want to be that. Whatever it is, right? That's my goal. Awesome. I can help you get there, right? But you have to understand one thing. Selective excellence is a myth. You cannot be bad at this job. You can't think this is just a job and then all of a sudden think you're going to be a great accountant one day, making a bunch of money. You're not going to be successful at your next place if you're here saying this is just a job, because you're not developing any skills to be successful in your next job. You're spending time here, and Jason said it best. It's all about mindset. How do you frame things in your mind? That's the difference. How do you frame things in your mind? They did a study for janitors, and they studied hospital janitors, and they found out there's two groups of janitors. There was a janitor who said, my job is to clean, and there's a second group of janitors that said, my job is to heal people. I help people heal. I help people get better. I help people go through their surgeries, because without me, the doctors couldn't do their job properly. I contribute to people's health and development. The people that thought that way were happier, more productive, more efficient, and made more money, because they're more likely to get a raise because their attitude was better and their productivity was better. Framing is everything. So what we want to frame it as, your job is not a place where you come in to collect money, to trade time for money. That's the worst way you can think about it. Your job, the place you spend the most time at, is a place where you get paid to develop yourself as a human being. That's your job. I'm developing myself as a human being every day. Do I show up on time? Do I show up for my staff? Do I honor my responsibilities? All those things. I'm developing processes. And they have studies too that show that your brain actually will get rid of pathways that you don't use. So if you're coasting all the time, all those pathways that you're developing in your brain to improve yourself, self-development, self-improvement, start going away. You lose that. And all you do is coast. Guess what you're going to do at your next job? Coast. Might start off with that little bump, but then you're going to coast. Right? You're going to go back into coast mode because that's what you trained yourself on. If you train yourself to show up late every day, you're going to be late every day. Right? The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And Napoleon Hill has this great equation for success. So freaking simple. And it's tried and true. This will never change. Right? It's like an apple pie recipe. There's a great apple pie recipe that has like 8 ingredients or 6 ingredients. That will never change. You can use that recipe and make a great apple pie. Sure, some people are going to come in and say, put cinnamon or put this or put that or put a deconstruct it, right? But a great apple pie is a great apple pie. This is the same recipe. It's never going to change ever in human history. There's nothing going to do to change this. AI is not going to change this. Nothing's going to change this to be successful. The quality of your work, the quantity of your work, plus your attitude is your value. How well do you do your job? How much do you do, and what kind of attitude you have doing it? If you have really high quality work, you produce it at a high level, and you have a good attitude doing it, you're going to be valuable. All of this stuff takes effort, energy, uncomfortability, consistency, and hard work. Making sure I hold my standards to have high quality all the time, making sure I produce a lot, right? I'm going to do more than what I'm paid for. And having a good freaking attitude, that framing, right? I'm here to develop myself. I'm here to develop people. I'm here to change people's lives, both the guests and my employees. I'm here to change my ownership's life, right? That's value. If we can get this in our employees' heads, that's a big deal, right? But we have to get rid of this first. We have to get rid of that. Because if they think this is just a job, it's not only detrimental for you, it's detrimental for them. And I always tell people this too. If we get them to do really high quality work, do more than what they're paid for, and have a good attitude about it, who benefits the most? The restaurant, right? Yeah, taking advantage of people, right? Getting to work more, right? No, the person who benefits the most is the employee. The employee benefits the most. We benefit a little bit, they benefit exponentially, right? We are training them to be the best version of themselves. We're training them to compete in a market that's getting tougher with that 20% of your income going down, the value of your money going down. We're training them how to compete at a high level. Well, I want to be an accountant. Okay, do you want to make a lot of money or you want to make just a basic baseline money? Well, I want to make a lot of money, of course. Cool. That's reserved for 10% of people. I'm going to show you how to compete with them. We're going to start with this formula, and you can start sharpening your skills at this restaurant. All this transferable, right? You can take this to any job and be successful. And that's what we want to show them. So framing is everything. You're paying for personal development. This is your future, right? We are paying for personal development. We are here to give you personal development, to make you better, make you more strong, and make you be an efficient coworker. And I call this the law of the gym, right? It's a gym. Everything you're doing, hard work, tenacity, perseverance, all of that stuff, holding your standard up through adversity is a muscle. You have to develop it. You have to develop those pathways in your brain, right? You have to develop those pathways and strengthen them. Or are you practicing just being mediocre for 20 to 40 hours a week, right? Are you just sitting there saying, I'm going to be mediocre for this amount of time every week? If you do that, that's what you're training yourself to do. That's what anybody's training themselves to do, and that's the outcome that you're going to get out of life. And I tell people this all the time, people want these things, but they don't want to do the work to get them. And so that's why the law of the gym is so important. We have to do it. Like, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you have to go to the gym. You're going to have to go to the gym. You got to eat good. You have to go to the gym. You have to do a lot of things. And does anybody remember their first managing shift? Does anybody remember that? I do. Yeah, I remember too. It was terrible, and it was hard, and it wasn't even like I was a supervisor. I remember I left with a migraine, and I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again. And it wasn't even a hard shift. It was just so much responsibility, so much happening. People coming up to you with questions. All of a sudden, you're like, oh wait, the buck stops with me. Like that's usually I just pass it off to my manager and I'm good to go. Like now it stops with me. Now I'm responsible for these things. And I left with a migraine. But after 6 months, I could do it with my eyes closed because I trained the neuros. I trained the brain, right? Like now it's not hard anymore. It's easy. I trained myself. So that's really important. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Zero. Okay, so do you guys think we can apply this in our restaurants? What do you guys think the biggest challenge is going to be? Is what? Training of employees. What do you mean?
Well, they're all different, and you have to develop the time to be able to do that and actually take the time to do it. And it's probably one of the more difficult things to handle.
Absolutely. This is the most difficult thing of running a restaurant. People development, right? So if you go to a restaurant, you'll notice, and you notice this, right? You go to a restaurant, food's down, right? That's something you can master early on. It's not easy, but you can master it early on because it's systematic. There's one thing involved, and that's a group of people in the back making sure that the food's delivered at a high level. It's manageable. It's more manageable, right? When you go to the front of the house, now you have a lot more elements because you have the staff, but then you have the wild card, which is the guests. And the guests come in, and giving hospitality is going to be, Will Guidara, Unreasonable Hospitality calls it's one for one, or one for one, which means it's not one for all. It's not an experience that's one for all. It's an experience that's one for one. I'm tailoring it to you. I'm tailoring that experience to you. That takes a lot of thought. That takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of skill, right? And you have to be able to read the guest. And the guest can be in a bad mood. The guest can be difficult. They don't know about the menu enough, whatever it is. And so you have to adapt to that. So when you have that wild card, that makes it very, very difficult. When you're saying, I want you to make food this way, follow these steps, and make food this way, this fast, that's systematic. We can build that, right? But when you have something where you're like, there's going to be a guest that comes in, they could be a wild card. There's literally 100 different scenarios of that guest, and we're going to show you how to work that guest out. Then it becomes freaking difficult. And now on top of that, I'm going to train you, coach you, manage you, and then the staff members. So there's two different elements to the front of the house, and that's what makes it so difficult. But if you can develop your people and you can create a culture that's easy to implement people into, you're going to be successful, right? If everyone's executing at a certain level, you're going to be successful. If everyone's bought in, you're going to be successful. It's going to be so much easier to get people bought in, to execute that, and to get the machine rolling. That's what Chick-fil-A does, right? They just get the machine. Ding Tai Fung, very good example. I wouldn't say they give an exorbitant amount of hospitality, but I would say they're consistently hospitable at a minimal level. But it's consistent enough to where it's satisfactory, right? And that's the power of consistency. So you're right. That's the hardest part, but that's why I want to focus on it. If you develop this, your job becomes so much easier and so much more fulfilling. Promise you that. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for coming today, for being a part of this. It's been an honor, and it's an honor to be working with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to come up to me afterwards. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you. Yeah. Mandy, I don't know if you want to say anything, or Jason. I think you went out. Okay. Mandy, do you want to say anything?
Okay, sure. So, one thing I learned on this the 30% rules, more especially, is like Aaron was telling everybody, it's about intentionality. You gotta have that intention to do all these things that we learn. That's why we have our OP meetings. The last OP meetings we have is like we invested a lot on this, and now it's the operating partners and the managers' turn to make sure that we are doing this consistently and applying this. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste everybody's time and money. So, like we always say, there's gotta be accountability, but we're here to coach our staff, to develop them, and to make them where we want them to be. So, like it's gonna be in your hands and upper management hands, so we can work together to make LRG better.
100%, yeah. You want to say something? Oh, yeah, for sure.
First and foremost, I want to thank Preston. I want to thank his team. I think me personally and everybody here, we learned a lot from working with them, not just on hospitality, but from they're always being on time with the Zoom meetings, wherever they're at. They're always, upbeat, very positive. So just from that, I feel like we also learned a lot. I went down
Yeah. It was, yeah.
With Sean, um, and it was with a lot of restaurant owners, and there's some from Canada, there's some from um, Tennessee, and all over different places, all different calibers of restaurants. And I took had the nerve to stand up and tell them that Preston, everything you guys are doing with our team and the manual that we're creating, we're really grateful and thankful, and I know I'll vouch for him all the way. And I'm very excited, and was very excited for him to come down here. But everything Manny said, and it's something I want to tell you guys. We can only do so much, but we really want to. We have to want it. We have to want it. But I want to thank every single one of you guys for all your hard work, your day to day. I can never thank you guys enough for all the sacrifices, for all the times you have to come to work and not be able to be with your family, everything that you guys do. Um, I wouldn't be here. None of us would be here if it wasn't for you guys. And I understand sometimes, I have my moods, and I always try to work on that as well. I'm not perfect. None of us are. That's why we're always learning, growing together as a team. Every time um, we have a new project, right? We always learn something new, just so we can do this better. But every single time that we need something or something comes up, there's always you guys there to have our back. Jet, he's been working with Sushi Bar that just opened. We were there till 2 a.m. together. We're back there at 7 a.m. again, and we were doing that, and we're like 15-hour days. You just had a not newborn, but you're a baby. I took all that to heart. All of you guys, um, Kevin's wife blowing up his phone at 12 and at 1 a.m. And where are you at? Um, just an example. From the bottom of my heart, from Lynn's Restaurant Group, my family, I want to thank all of you guys for all your hard work, all your commitment. And my goal is just to, improve myself first as a leader. And every time when one of you guys or anybody that doesn't succeed or doesn't do as well, I reflect myself first. Did I do everything that I could as your leader to ensure that I gave you all the tools? Did I give you the proper training? So I'm not the first to point fingers or blame. Even with the team members, what you guys mentioned about first thing in training, right? I was asked, have you been trained on this? Like just yesterday, I asked this team member, have you been trained how to take it to the water or how to? Sometimes they have and sometimes they haven't, right? There's just team members that are when you're talking to them, one ear goes in and out.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell you this little story real quick. Was 10:30, around 10:30, he picked up the phone. He we were really busy at Sushi Box, right? So we didn't have all the proper training. Sometimes but so the story was he picked up the phone. He took an order for miso soup. He didn't get their name. He didn't get their phone number. He didn't tell them we open at 11. And I'm thinking to myself, I wanted to freak out, right? But then I told the manager, hey, we gotta make sure we train them. I asked them, we train them and things like that. But I just want to tell you guys a story. Being patient with your staff. Don't always assume that they know, because reflect back at yourself. Did we do what we're supposed to do? Don't always assume. One quote I always remember is common sense sometimes is not so common. So just remember that. Keep nurturing, growing them. Give them the best experience, whether they're with you for 30 days, for a month, for 10 years. Let them remember Lynn's Restaurant Group, your restaurant, was a great part of their stepping stone to whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So let's continue to grow and grow together and better ourselves, better our team. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. I got one more. I got one more request, two more requests for you guys. One is that you guys had a really good energy today, which I really, really appreciate. And we have, I'm from Orange County, and I want to show them what Fresno's all about. So you guys do me a favor. When I just put the camera on you guys, can you guys just go freaking nuts with the energy, like go crazy, screaming, hands in the air? Can you guys do that for me?
Yeah.
You guys do that for me? You in the back too. Everyone back there too. Everyone. You two back there. Yeah? Yeah? All right. Ready? Okay.
And then before you guys leave, we're gonna take a team picture.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so, oh, here we go. All right, so LRG Hospitality, this team has been amazing. They started at 8 a.m., their leadership team, and I want to show you, still, 3 hours later, what their energy looks like. Check this out. Wow. Nicely done. That was a freaking impressive. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Usually I'm like, it's 80% of what I think. You guys freaking killed it. That was impressive. All right. Well, I guess we'll take a team photo. We're out of here. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.